Hello, Nick. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good, good. Oh. So, I have so much to talk to you about. We have limited time. I guess we should get the Jews out of the way because I agree with you on pretty much everything, but I'm a Jewophile.
Yeah.
Zionist, love them. Does that like churn in your gut when I say that?
No, not
I
really.
love Jews.
Okay, that's it.
Who was that guy? Cody Derbyshire? I haven't checked in on Chestnut Couch Face. What the fuck's his name?
I don't know.
He's a groiper. He tried to get on this network. Cody Chestnut?
Cody Chestnut?
What's his?
Oh, Pine Sap. Is that who you're
No,
talking
not
about?
that. No. This is long ago.
Oh, okay.
He had his own show, and I think it was with you. I think you guys had a falling out. Oh, fuck. I'm starting out a show with the guy.
James Alsop?
No, it's a really weird name.
Oh.
Like Crispy Chester Buttons.
I don't know any crispy.
Fuck. Look that up, Sean. I don't know what to look up. But anyway,
Yeah.
I would say like I'm a Zionist and stuff. And I could see him go, because I was on his show a couple of times. I guess just to sort of start at the end, and then we'll go do all the fun stuff later. Let's get some thumbnails too. The biggest thing I want you guys to know is that the Jews are not a monolith. And we've had this argument before.
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, well, I feel like there's a kinship there. And there absolutely is not. Like my family is kind of Catholic, Irish, Scottish, and they fucking hate the English. And the fact that I was born in England was just like, it was like I was gay or retarded. Like they still love me, but there's this horrible thing that happened. And there's no reverence. There's no like, well, if it came down to it, like for example, when the Scots, when the English were playing soccer against Spain, if you're in Wales, all the Scots are cheering every time Spain gets a goal. The Welsh are kind of freaked out by that. They're sort of split on the English thing, but like they want England to suffer, and that's how Orthodox and Hasidic, and even secular Jewish conservatives feel about these ADL, SPLC Jews.
Right. Well, yeah, I talked about that on my show the other night. ADL just got kicked out of the FBI, and who was celebrating it was the ZOA. It was Mort Klein. It was Ben Shapiro. It was Joel Pollack at Breitbart. And you're right, they've all been anti-ADL ever since 2015, because that's when Jonathan Greenblatt took over, and he's a Democrat partisan. But I would say that what is the cause of the conflict? It is an internal battle. It's an intra-Jewish conflict. And what I mean by that is they're debating about ultimately what is best for the Jews. And the left-wing Jews believe in liberal universalism, that's the best for the Jews. And the Israeli right, the American right in Jewry, they think that Israel needs to be as strong as possible and as identitarian as possible. That's a last refuge.
Hi, this is Anthony Cumia.
Hello, I'm Gavin McInnes.
And together we're Compound Censored.
And we would like you to subscribe with this deal using this promo code right below me right now.
Do it, because it's very entertaining.
I disagree. I think they want what's best for the West. And you know how many Jews hate Israel, right? Like even Hasids in Israel, the reason they refuse to join the IDF is because they don't support Israel. They say, we're here too early. We're supposed to wait for Christ.
Right.
So within the Jew world, within the Jays, the animosity towards Israel is, I'm just pulling this out of my ass, I'm going to say 50%.
I don't think it's 50%.
If you include all the seculars, all the Hasids, you're going to get north of 40.
Inside Israel or globally?
Globally.
But I don't think that they hate Israel. I think that they hate the Likud party, the liberal ones. I think they hate Netanyahu. George Soros.
I want to separate that.
Which?
they hate the concept of Israel, even the ones that are there. Separately, Israelis are not a fan of Netanyahu at all.
Well, why do they keep electing him? He's a longest-serving.
It's like Justin Trudeau. It's a parliamentary system, and once you get your foot in the door, you can sort of expand forever. Like Justin Trudeau did 3,000 terms.
But maybe they don't like him, and he's certainly less popular now, but they support everything he's doing. It's like 80% approval for the war in Iran.
I didn't know this was going to get so heated so fast. I disagree again!
That's just the facts.
No, you say they support what he's doing.
Oh, yeah.
These Israelis that I know are furious about October 7th. They agree with you, I assume. Yeah. I assume that you believe, and as I do, that they let it go on too long.
Well, I think they just let it happen, period.
Right. I don't know the percentage. Probably almost half of Israelis agree with that, and they're fucking mad because they were killed.
Right, yeah.
They had to fight with their own guns, protecting their own homes.
Right.
Which they did a great job at, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, they're good at that. Well, they all have military service, but there was the leader of the opposition did an op-ed in the New York Times, Benny Gantz, in the Israeli government. And, France and the UK, they're all recognizing Palestine. And the leader of the opposition in the Knesset came out and said, if you think you're against Netanyahu by being against these policies, he said, you're wrong. He said, you're against all of us. He said, because everyone in the government and most of the people, we support what Netanyahu's doing. So in other words, he said, don't get it twisted. Don't think that you're just opposing him. He said, this is the bipartisan security consensus of Israel after October 7th. And that consensus is that it's unacceptable to have Hamas and Gaza in close proximity to Israel because of what is possible, what they demonstrated.
Okay, so when I think of Netanyahu, I think of a warmonger who wants to pick a fight with Egypt, who wants to pick a fight with Lebanon, who would love to provoke Iran to the point where China and Russia get involved, and we have a global World War III. Jews don't want that.
I don't think they want World War III, but I do think they want to destroy Iran. They want regime change in Iran. They always have.
I want regime change in Iran.
I don't.
You like these Muslims taking over ruining that country?
It's not that I like them. It's that they are necessary to check Israel.
I got to turn off this AC because it picks up on the mic.
Can you also move the mic to the other side of your...
Oh, yeah. Good idea.
You don't... I don't think you hate Muslims enough. That's my problem with you. I hate Muslims. Hey!
No, not really. We love everybody, but no, they're really pissing me off though lately.
Who are them?
Yeah, like
Manchester.
The stabbing. Not more like Hassan Piker and like Zohran Mamdani.
These are your bedfellows. That's also on my notes.
I know, it's the third worldists. They've these fucking communists and Muslims. They're all anti-Israel.
And the Columbia students, encampment.
Yeah, UCLA. Yeah.
Those are your brothers.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. it's unfortunate.
I mean, I have strange bedfellows too, I guess. But we're all over the map here because we're biting off more than we can chew. But I don't think. I just want you to be aware of how many Jews do not support Netanyahu's policies, and that includes Israel. That includes American Jews. My family's been terrorized by my neighbors who are disproportionately Jewish, but they're secular Jews. They're atheist Jews. They are Marxists. They're Bolsheviks. I think one big difference between you and I is when you think of Holodomor, you think of Jews. When I think of Holodomor, I think of atheists. And once you're an atheist and a communist, you're not part of a religion.
Right.
You're everything wrong with humanity. And that's who I want to focus the beef on. Because all these great Jews get caught up in the anti-Semitism.
Like who?
Ezra Levant, Ron Coleman, John Gross, Stephen Miller. Wait, why'd you go like that for Ezra?
Well, he has me blocked on Twitter. That's first. So I don't like that. And well, here's the thing. To me, I just feel like the people you're talking about, fundamentally, they care more about Jews than they care about America.
I passionately disagree with that.
I think that they're like nut jobs about anti-Semitism, spurging out about Jew haters, anti-Semitism.
No, they hate the ADL. You know how much Rebel has done for Christians in Iraq? Way more than you and I.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but
He was there in northern Iraq. He was there raising money for them to get refuge.
I just question what's really the end game there, because I think that when you look at someone like Ezra Levant, he doesn't strike me as like a Canadian patriot. He strikes me as someone that cares deeply about Jews. And
No, you need to hang out with more Jays, dude. He's obsessed with the attack on these Christian churches all over Canada.
yeah,
Look what he did for Tommy Robinson.
well, and Tommy Robinson's the closest ally. He's a eternal defender of Israel, waving Israel
Yeah, but that's
flag.
not his priority. That's just a thing. It's sort of like me. I kind of resent having to defend the Jews and talk about Israel because it's like I did this sit down right here with Jake Shields, and it was just this whataboutism. Like, did you know the first terror attack was a Jew? It's sort of like flat earthers.
Yeah.
Like you have to know the thing they're saying to
Right.
be able to refute it. And I'm not an expert on the history of Jews in Israel. But I just see what happens to my friends on the right, and they get caught in this. It's like a black thing where, I can't be a lawyer because the whites have systemic racism.
Right.
It becomes a crutch. And even even the synagogue attack, they're blaming on the Jews. Even Charlie Kirk, that was a lavalier that blew up. Where do you stand on Charlie Kirk?
I thought that's ridiculous. I think it was a left-wing nut job that killed him.
I mean, it's Occam's razor with that until I get more information.
Exactly, right.
Where do you stand? I feel like you've sort of switched recently on the Jays a little bit.
Yeah, people have been saying that, but that's only because I said that Israel didn't kill Charlie Kirk. But I only believe that because I think that Charlie Kirk was pro-Israel.
So that's you loving Jews in this day and age.
Yeah, literally, yeah. That's
Really?
the switch up.
That's
yeah.
all it's based on?
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. Because just sort of feeling like we all have our own personal AIs, and just sort of feeling the chatter. I was like, oh, Nick's coming around. He's kind of supporting Israel now.
No, I just said that they didn't kill him, which is insane.
I saw you talking recently about how if Israel had its way, it would just take over Lebanon and Egypt and Jordan. And I'm like, good.
Why is that good?
I see Israel as Doge, and I see Islam as corruption and wasting money. And I want to get in there and clean it up.
My problem with Israel doing these things, what they're really aiming for is hegemony in the region. They want to be the great power in the Middle East. They want to have hegemony over that entire region. And that's a very critical region because as India and China rise, they're going to be doing all this trade with Europe, and all that trade is going to go right through the Middle East, the naval land routes. And if Israel's collecting a toll on all that, on like with IMEC, which is the India-Middle East corridor, Belt and Road, they're going to become very rich. And I think that Israel, we have to consider, is sort of like a rival great power because they do whatever they want. They don't answer to us. They infiltrate our system, like our American billionaires, our American congressmen seem to answer to Israel. And it terrifies me that they'll have so much power by themselves and then have so much power over us. Right now, they're pretty weak because they have to deal with Iran. They have to deal with Turkey. They have to deal with, maybe all the Arabs teaming up against them. But if Iran's out of the picture, then they dominate the whole region there.
And then what do they do with this power? They attack America and take over America?
Not that they attack us or take over, but I think that then we're in a competition with them. And then it's a question of, do we really have sovereignty? I think that we're in a position now where we could still, for example, kick all the dual citizens out, register the Israel lobby, this sort of thing. I think that once Israel has all this power, is there going to be a pager attack in America? Is there going to be an intel operation here?
There's Muslim attacks in America. There's the West Side Highway. There's 9/11. There's Fort Worth. There is, you look at all the top mass killings in America, and it's black. It's mentally ill at the top. But third is Islam. So we're already being not decimated. We're already being systematically attacked by Muslims.
But we have freedom to act against Muslims. When Muslims bomb us, we bomb them right back. We bombed Somalia 80 times this year. We bombed Yemen more times in a month than Biden did in a year. We bombed Pakistan. We bombed Iraq. We bombed Syria. But Israel, they blow up our ship, and we don't do
The
anything.
USS Liberty?
That's just one example.
I think that was a friendly fire.
Brother. my white brother.
I mean, what makes you think it wasn't?
Because they were flying a giant American flag. They radioed
It's not
in.
giant when you're in a fighter jet going, "Meow."
All the people on the boat said it was unmistakable. They knew what they were doing. They came in and shot the
The
lifeboats.
people on the boat are mad because all their friends died.
they got shot,
We're
yeah.
not allowed to use the people on the boat.
Yeah.
That's like when people go, what if your daughter was raped? And you're like, well, I wouldn't be rational at that point. But it looked like an Egyptian boat. I don't understand why you'd want to provoke an attack when you're in a 6-day war with all these other countries, why you'd want to get America against you too. They approached the USS Liberty first and got shot at, so they couldn't verify. So the only really proof we have is the little flag, which from a fighter jet is not easily identified.
We also have the eyewitness testimony, which I agree maybe there's a bias, but they do all claim to this day that it was a deliberate attack. They said that they radioed in, they waved the flag. And the purpose, why would they do it? It was to conceal their troop movements, because when they were doing the 6-day war, they didn't want their operations to be foiled.
What
by
was America even doing there? They said they weren't going to be there. They denied their existence there.
We were spying on them.
Okay, so we have no evidence. I'm saying we. They have no evidence that the.
Careful. Yeah.
We have no evidence that the boat was even going to be there. What are you doing? We're not going to be there. A boat approaches. They get attacked. They fly over. It looks exactly like an Egyptian boat. And yeah, friendly fire kills 30 people. They killed 12 Israeli soldiers in that war by accident. They're regularly killing their own hostages.
Well, that's their
accident.
doctrine. That's their military doctrine, is to kill their own hostages.
Right, but killing their own people, killing people that they weren't meant. Killing the hostages when they weren't prepared to kill the hostages. Too early, I guess, is what I'm saying. But friendly fire is part of war. Vietnam, we lost tens of thousands of troops, and it was very unfortunate. I don't think it's a good example of Israel attacking us. I think there's more evidence that it was friendly fire.
Well, and, we could say for the sake of this argument, you say it's friendly fire,
Brother.
I say it's not. The brother. Well, but here's the point is, it's about what they're capable of. It's this idea that, if they carried out, like they did in Hezbollah, in Lebanon, a decapitation strike on Hezbollah, if they did something like that in America, if they have regional hegemony in the Middle East, if they have all this influence in America, could they get away with something like that? That's what I'm worried about, because they do have an interest in our defense technology and our supply chains. And you got to wonder, how did the bombs end up in the pagers? It's shell corporations, it's supply chains, that's the sort of thing. And you look at these tech companies like Palantir. Palantir's run by Alex Karp. He's the CEO. And this is the company that's getting all the data, putting it together. You don't think they're putting a back door in there for Israel? And that's just like one example. But they got a lot of companies where, 15 years ago, Netanyahu sent Unit 8200, which is their intelligence guys, to Silicon Valley to get involved in these businesses for that purpose. And so that in this world of spying, espionage, intelligence, and especially autonomous systems and drones, you wonder, do we get to a point where Israel flips a switch and the iPhones explode? Or, and that's like a cartoonish
Can't we
example.
focus on what if Saudi Arabia gets money? What if Iran gets power? Like, we're already there with Muslims. And look at what these fucking sheiks do when they get their billions. They drive cars on 2 wheels. They face fuck our women. They're barber pirates all over again. They just bring them over with money. And, they steal our comedians.
yeah, you see that?
For stupid festivals. Like this fear of what if Israel gets so much power. Islam's got it. Islam's in our government right now. Ilhan Omar.
But she's a congresswoman. I mean, that's not the same thing. Mike Waltz was the national security advisor. He's working for Netanyahu. That's way worse, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Rubio getting money from Larry Ellison, Secretary of State.
I'd like to see a study on who has more power in America, the Muslim Brotherhood or Israel.
Come on, that's Jewish propaganda. The Muslim Brotherhood. You sound like Laura Loomer. The
Yeah.
Muslim Brotherhood's running everything?
Yeah. No, not running everything, but a major threat.
Not more than the Jews run Hollywood, finance, media, government. But what do Muslims run?
Ops against us.
Yeah, I mean,
propaganda.
don't get me
Look
wrong.
at what has happened. Like, anti-Semitism in the past year, 6 months, doesn't feel organic to me. It feels funded by Muslim Brotherhood. It's like you've always been pretty consistent. Jake Shields, whom I adore, it doesn't feel organic with him. He recites all these details like someone is getting in there, and I can name other people where they're getting funding to go against Israel, to go against the Jews, and I would say it's pretty mainstream right now to be anti-Semitic. It's like Free Palestine. You can wave that flag. Like in Britain, Britain's a weird example because they've already taken over that country. But there's a Muslim demonstration. You walk by with a yarmulke or a dog, and you're told you're disrupting it, you're disturbing the peace, even though you're on your way home.
But what did they do in response here? And in America, you have Trump seizing the endowments or the loans and grants for Harvard, Brown, UPenn. They're forcing it's a dozen schools in Northwestern, in Illinois, in Evanston. You have to take like a re-education course on Israel just to get in the school.
Great point. But I was talking to Toby Young, Lord Young in Britain there. He wrote How to Lose Friends and Alienate People. Great guy. He runs this thing called the Free Speech Union that protects you if you show up in Britain and you get stopped at the border for a tweet, whatever. And he was, my mind just blanked. What were we talking about?
The Israel to get into Columbia, Harvard, all that.
And he was like, sometimes institutions get to this point where you have to go against your libertarian values and go, I can't believe I'm doing this, but the government has to fix this problem because there's no way these institutions will fix themselves. And I feel that way about Harvard and Columbia. I never want the government involved in schools, but these fucking schools, like, it wasn't, people were not in trouble for saying from the river to the sea. They were fucking terrorizing Jewish students. They had to lock themselves in rooms. They were banging on doors. So I think the government has gone into these Ivy League schools and said, this looks real bad on paper, but you guys are so far fucking gone. There's a new professor at Harvard called, like, you could look this up, Sean, called like Vagina de Penis.
Oh, I saw that, the drag queen. Yeah.
So that's how far gone they are. I mean, this is almost like calling in the National Guard.
But look at what they did at Harvard. They kicked out Claudine Gay, and that was after Bill Ackman intervened, because Bill Ackman's an alumnus of Harvard, and he leveraged the alumni network to withhold donations until it strangled the board. They kicked this broad out. Then they brought in a Jewish doctor to be the new president of Harvard. And what the Trump administration is imposing on Harvard, it's not just anti-protest, anti-Palestinian. What they're also doing is changing the Middle East Studies curriculum. So it's pro-Israel in their School of Foreign Policy or Political Science. So it's like, and by the way, that's 5 out of 8 Ivy League schools now have Jewish presidents.
Yes, but they're correcting this crazy current that's been going on for decades.
But 5 out of 8? Jews are 2% of the population. What is that?
Yeah, but these schools are anti-Jewish schools. And that's where...
Dude, 25% of Columbia is Jewish. Like, the student body.
These Jews, like, I can tell you, I got friends going to St. Andrews in Scotland, which is basically Harvard. It's Ivy League Europe. And he goes in there as a Jew. He comes out there as a pro-Palestine, river to the sea guy. Like the Jew, there was tons of Jews in those encampments in Columbia. They go to school to learn to hate. And this is what I wanted to get you to. Jews are exceptional whites. When they do bad, they do exceptional bad. When they do good, they do exceptional good. When they do good, my daughter was born at Beth Israel. Israel invents a pill that you swallow and it gives you like a reverse colonoscopy and you film everything going down. They're overrepresented in the Fields medals. They're overrepresented in Nobel Peace Prizes. Yes, they're overrepresented in media and banking, as are the Irish, by the way. You've seen those memes of the Irish.
The Hibernian.
yeah. So when I see these, I think Jews are really just whites who don't drink. If I didn't drink, I'd be president of the United States right now.
I agree, yeah.
Like,
well, you're Canadian. So.
I would change that law. I'd be that powerful, like Bloomberg giving himself an extra term.
Yeah.
They're like the Amish. Like they're just us at our purest in many ways.
I don't disagree. They are gifted. And I agree with you that a lot of anti-Semites are reluctant to even give them their due because they are brilliant. And that is part of why they're so powerful. Because when you look at for example, the quotas against Jews in the universities in the first half of 20th century, they were breaking through that stuff just because they were remarkable. But here's my issue with them, because, Bishop Williamson said the same thing. He's that Holocaust
I actually stole that
revisionist.
from him.
Yeah, I recognize it. I knew you did. I'm calling you out.
But he was quoting a video of me.
Yeah, there you go.
So I didn't really steal it.
Yeah. But he said that, and I agree with that. But my problem is not that you got bad apples, because every group has bad apples. My problem is that systematically their identity, which is racial and ethnic, is based on this fear of persecution. They're 2,000 years in a diaspora, no home to call their own. They're segregated, they're persecuted. We could debate about why that is, whether it's justified or not. Some people say, well, they're foreign, they're alien, they have whatever. But that is their experience. And I think they have this reflexive paranoia. They're afraid of outsiders, they're distrusting of outsiders, they're insular, they're tribalistic. And I think they justify that on the basis that if we don't act this way, everyone's going to rise up and kill us. Another Hitler will rise up, another Philip II, another Nicholas II. Someone's going to rise up and take us out. So that's why they have this group mentality. It's like a fortress. It's like a siege mentality. And I think that that's not a bad instinct, but it's bad when they have power over America.
Well, I would argue that I can't deny that. And when I went on my, as you called it, my all expenses paid trip to Israel,
Yes.
I kept screaming that even that, part of why they hate Trump is his blonde hair.
Yeah.
They have this trouble with the Aryan, and I think it's PTSD from their grandparents talking about the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, anytime a white, whether it's you or me, and they don't care that I'm on their side, by the way. Anytime there's a white who is charming and has everyone's ear, we have to denigrate him because he's going to get us.
Right.
And that is something that both sides, both Orthodox, Republican Jews, and secular, even atheist Jews, you're right. They all have that characteristic. But that doesn't negate the Civil War.
Right.
Because the Orthodox Jews are saying to the secular Jews, what the fuck are you doing? Mm-hmm. Like, you're ruining everything. And you're going to get us killed. And they are getting them killed.
Yeah.
As I keep saying, wear a yarmulke in northern Paris right now. Like, all the Jews that live in Northern Europe are getting terrorized on a daily basis. That's the first people. Manchester, they're attacking. So I think that Orthodox Jews are saying to secular Jews, you're my worst enemy. Like, with friends like you, who needs enemies? They could have the same motives, but the secular atheist Jews are retarded. And more proof that they're white, they self-sabotage. I think they're aware they're ruining everything. And they're ethno-masochists. Like, they all this porn shit, and you don't need to get married, and the world's overpopulated. The secular Jews are suffering from that. They're not having kids. Mm-hmm, Orthodox Jews' birth rate is great. So my sort of thing with race, my goal with my job and everything is, first of all, to make more American families of any race, but and fathers to stay there, more Westerners, but also to kill this ethno-masochism. And I think one of the reasons that secular Jews, are so wanton with their destruction is they have that white thing, which is self-destruction. And I think it's also a real reason for this anti-Semitism, because it's a fun target. Like, if my kids fart on my wife, they're in big trouble. If they fart on me, it's funny. I'll be like, oh shit, that reeked, because I'm the top. And it seems that way with criticizing whites, like you can fart on them. And that is why these college students, they don't give a fuck about the Christians in the Congo. They don't give a fuck about brown on brown violence, but they see a white person, an Israeli, and a brown person, a Palestinian, even though these Palestinians would happily kill them. Right. And have done, like that Italian guy who went there with the fucking Arabic writing on his bicep and they couldn't wait to kill him. Queers for Palestine. They just choose the brown side because of ethno-masochism. And I've heard people blame the Jews on that. But it goes way before World War II, this I fucked up, I'm sorry shit. It's genetic.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of truth to that because, these Jews, what they've effectively embraced is liberal universalism, which is this colorblind, we're all going to be communist, we're all individuals, whatever. And I think you're right that I'm right wing. And the right-wing Jews believe that the solution to the Jewish problem, because the Jewish problem is these people are persecuted, they're unassimilable, they won't integrate. The right-wing Jews, the Zionists, believe the solution is we need our own country. We need our own territory with a military. It's got to have a Jewish identity, because as long as we don't have a home, we'll be at the mercy of everyone else. The left-wing Jews say that's why we need to make the world universalist, because if the world is tolerant and multicultural, then we'll be tolerated everywhere.
But you're describing the liberal globalist ethos, of which billions of whites have signed up for. And pre-Jew signed up for.
Yeah.
Like I always bring up slavery. We were, way before the Jews took over the media, we were going to Northern Africa and saying to the Berber pirates, stop doing this. We were going to Africa. We abolished slavery. We went to Africa. We said, stop doing this. We said to Dahomies, literally Dahomies, stop doing this. I think Britain paid off its debt, ending slavery like 7 years ago. That wasn't the Jews. That was this like, oh, woe is me. I have to, this altruism. That is a good thing in a Siberian winter in Norway in like 2000 BC. But now it's used against us, and it becomes lemmings going over the cliff. And that's what I want to prevent. And I think the anti-Semitism Israeli thing, it becomes a scapegoat, it becomes a crutch, and we don't identify our problem, which is we are okay with our own destruction.
Well, here's my point, is I'm saying that debate runs through the Jewish community too, is what I'm saying.
That's what I'm screaming.
Yeah, and I agree.
Don't steal my shit.
But here's the thing. I'm not stealing it totally. The right-wing Jews, it's particularism. The right-wing Jews, they're not in favor of nationalism for all nations. You do your thing, we'll do our thing. By its very nature, if you're a nationalist, it's exclusionary. We want our nation to be strong. We want our people to be strong. So you sort of have this idea that like, well, we're all for the West. We're all for nationalism. We're all for these things. But they want these things for themselves.
Who's they? This is
Jews.
Every Jew I talk to, because I talk to a lot of Jews about this debate, and they're like, ask him what a Jew is. Who's they?
It's matrilineal, by Jewish descent from their mother. Not
But we're
necessarily
both
the
agreeing
religion.
that the Orthodox and the Republicans hate the seculars.
But
and
why
the
do they hate
seculars,
them?
they see the Orthodox and the Hasids as a cult. Like, and they go, you're bad for our name. You're fucking weird with your payas and your stupid hat.
But they hate
And they married a black chick.
Yeah. Well, they hate the left-wing Jews because they think the left-wing Jews are undermining Israel. When they say they hate the ADL, they don't say Jews shouldn't control speech in America. They say it's backfiring. What you're doing is causing more anti-Semitism. You're allying with people like Ilhan Omar who are progressive and hate Israel. So it comes from a place of Jewish self-interest.
That's a weird thing to know. Like in journalism, we were taught to never say, Nick Fuentes thinks he's getting it up on someone. You have to say, it appears as though Nick Fuentes thinks that he's getting it up. Like you're imbuing this motive on people.
That's what they say. Ben Shapiro, Joel Pollack, the Mort Klein, that's what they all say about these left-wing Jewish groups.
So Ben Shapiro says, my only problem with the ADL is they're making Jews look bad.
Basically, yes. Yeah, trust me, that is what they say. Joel Pollack, who's the editor of Breitbart, this is the quote I know off the top of my head. He said that the problem with the ADL is they're not doing a good enough job of isolating the real anti-Semites. And they're painting everybody as anti-Semitic, and so they're watering down anti-Semitism. So it's a Jewish interest that's served there.
Well, the ADL's job is to find hate, ostensibly, right? And they're saying you're doing a bad job. Now you're making that into your only problem with them is that they don't do enough for Jews.
They think anti-Semitism should be censored. They just think the ADL is doing a bad job of it.
Yeah, you think Joel Pollack thinks that I shouldn't be able to say from the river to the sea?
He thinks that, maybe not you because you're pro-Israel, but he thinks people like me, he loves you. He thinks people like me should be isolated, ostracized, kicked out.
So for you to say from the river to the sea on Twitter, Joel Pollack would want you to be banned.
Not specifically that, but me being someone that says Jews shouldn't have power in America. he would say, you got to go. You got to be censored, isolated. You got to go. And by the way, Elon did ban that from the river to the sea. And I didn't see any right-wing Jews stand up and say, don't ban that. We need free speech.
Oh, I bet Ron Coleman would be totally against that.
Ron Coleman, he don't like me.
Yeah, well, they're once burnt, twice shy when it comes to the far right. And they don't want to debate you. Mm-hmm. They see you as a lost cause. And I totally disagree. I think, because I've been on both sides. Mm-hmm. You know, my political awakening is very recent. It's post 9/11. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of free Palestine for a while, and then I got to see the irredeemable values of Islam and what they've done to Europe and what they've done to everywhere but America, really. And I go, that's my priority. Jews are cool. Besides the bad ones.
Yeah.
You know, and to say Jews shouldn't have power, like, what defines a Jew? You have some atheist Jew married to a black woman who's doing a great, like, say Alex Jones. Mm-hmm. We found out that his mother was Jewish, and he's married to this black chick who doesn't give a fuck about Jews. Should he not have InfoWars?
If he identifies as Jewish and is loyal to Jewish identity, then I don't think he should have power in America. I think America's Christian.
Should he have InfoWars?
I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting question. Should they be able to own media companies? I mean, not at scale. I don't think they should be able to be multi-billionaires. I don't think Larry Ellison should have as much power as he has. He's clearly loyal to Israel. And he's an atheist.
I mean, outside of the concept, it's just an implausible. It's sort of like when Richard Spencer told me that all blacks have to leave America and we have to make America all white. I'm like, that's the implausibility of that makes it retarded.
I don't think it's implausible. I think that we need to make it clear. Well, you make that face, but look, you yourself admitted. I mean, look at these attitudes towards Jews, how quickly they're changing. And I think if there was...
So we just ship them back to Africa?
Not ship them back, but there needs to be a recognition that the double standard they have is not going to fly here. And by that I mean all non-Jews are expected that we're all Americans. We're all going to treat each other equal. We're not going to be preferential towards each other. But Jews, they get to look out for themselves. And they get to do this bullshit where Larry Ellison is going to buy TikTok on behalf of Netanyahu to suppress criticism of Israel. Like, that's blatant influence peddling.
But they don't have their own interests. As I said, like they're pro-Palestine. They hate Israel.
But Bill Ackman, Sheldon Adelson, Miriam Adelson, Larry Ellison, all these guys are pro-Israel. They're not, you're talking about some shithead leftists that are 20 years old. We're talking about billionaires.
I'm talking about walk through CNN and talk to every liberal media reporter there, every anchorman, every journalist.
They're pro-Israel. What happened at CBS when Ta-Nehisi Coates went on CBS spewing pro-Palestine sentiment? The host, who was a Jew, viciously attacked him. The host's boss apologized for the outburst. That person's boss stood by the host because that person was Jewish. Who owns CBS? It's Sherry Redstone, who's a Jew. She backed the host. And now CBS is bought by David Ellison, who's Jewish, son of Larry Ellison, and they paid Bari Weiss $100 million to be the editor-in-chief there. She's an Israeli spy.
An Israeli spy?
Yes. She studied under Yoram Hazony at the Shalem Center in Israel, and then they set her up to work for Bret Stephens at Wall Street Journal. He got to start at Jerusalem Post. And they trained her up in writing op-eds so she could be a dutiful propagandist for Israel.
I mean, I talk to New Yorkers, I talk to Jews in media, and I'm alarmed at how much disdain they have for Israel, for Orthodox Jews. Yeah, I guess CBS, yes, is predominantly pro-Israel, but it's not the vibe I get from these liberal Jews. They're, as Ezra Levant says, they're Bolsheviks, and they don't care about anything but winning and power. And if that means fucking over Jews, by all means, let's do it. Exactly like Nancy Pelosi, who is happy to have California burned to the ground as long as she has her gated community and, her own money and her own mansions. That's what elite whites do. They are ethnomasochists. They're lemmings. And so my goal, it's never happening, but it's for you to see these powerful Jews as elite whites.
But they're not white. They're not white. They don't see themselves as white, and they're not white.
They're wrong. Everyone's white.
Everyone in the world?
Here's a way to see whiteness just for fun. Who do you not want moving in next door? So even a lot of blacks are white. Like Denzel Washington moves next door. Nobody, maybe you might have a problem with it, but most white people are like, cool. I got a good one next door. I wonder if we could become friends. So this whole like complaining about racism in America, no one has a problem with Mexicans. No one has a problem with Jews, really. No one has a problem with elite blacks, like upper middle class and up blacks. So the only people that can really complain about racism are ghetto blacks. And they mostly deserve prejudice. It's more like post-judice at this point because we've seen the behavior. So the fact that we talk about racism constantly in this country when we're talking about half of the 14% and everyone else is basically treated as white.
Well, what I would say about the blacks in the neighborhood is, because I was thinking about that exact example the other day, because I wouldn't feel bad if like one black family was in the neighborhood and they're well-meaning and they're nice and they're civil, but it's really a question of the composition, because it's sort of an interesting question. How many black families on your block and neighborhood are you comfortable with? Because if you're the only white family on the block, and let's say they're all civil and polite, but you're the only white family, you're probably going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel like an alien, a minority.
Well, I definitely get that living in a Jewish neighborhood. I'm definitely not wanted as the minority. But sometimes hypotheticals break apart. Like the idea that you're on a street and there's 50 Denzel Washingtons around you is just not going to happen.
It's happening in Houston, Texas, with all these Indians.
Denzel Washington,
not Denzel's, but like Indians that are civil and polite and high earning. There's a lot of subdivisions that are all Indian with like 2 white families, and people go, I don't know if I have a problem with one Indian family in my neighborhood, but the whole neighborhood goes Indian.
That's kind of what happened to Astoria, Queens. It just became completely Indian. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm reminded of that Charlie Kirk thing where they said, what if America had all the same values, Christian and everything, but they were all Pajeets? And it's like, you can't do that. Like your hypothetical is too obtuse for me to think about it.
But that's where it's going.
Yeah. But the other problem with that hypothetical is it's going there, but it's not going there in the sense that they're not Christian. They're not fans of the West. They're not assimilating. They're not learning English. They're not even liking America. When the World Cup is on, the Albanians have the Albanian flag on their car. They have no interest in assimilating. The whole idea of Henry Ford. Did you ever hear about the melting pot thing? He made one.
I didn't.
You'd go up a ladder, down a ladder. You're in a pot that's as big as this room. And then you pledge allegiance to the flag. You sing the national anthem. Then you go up another ladder. And you keep the flag you were given, and it's obviously symbolic. You don't literally melt. And that notion, like I went to Ellis Island recently, and they kept it as is. And the last thing you see when you walk out is this massive painting banner that just says, "Be loyal." They don't do that anymore.
Right.
In fact, I would argue, often when immigrants come here and they want to assimilate, they become anti-American because that seems to be the norm.
Right.
So they are assimilating in a bizarre sense.
Right. I would say that, when I talk about that example, like let's say they had values that we were okay with, it's just meant to kind of suss out the fact that on some level race does matter. Because even all things being equal, I still wouldn't feel comfortable being a minority in America as a white person.
I know what you mean, yeah. I mean, we have different backgrounds. I immigrated to Canada in the 70s, and I was with a big wave of Pajeets. And they were, because Canada is considered Britain, and Britain, all the colonies would come in. Jamaicans, they played cricket, they drank Guinness, they loved soccer. So they assimilated quite easily, as did I. And it was a different type of immigration because they were pro-Western. And so back then, I don't know, you didn't really see color. I know that sounds naive, but as the numbers went up, it didn't seem so bad. And now there's it just seems like apples and oranges now. Like they don't want to assimilate these Pajeets. They've totally outnumbered the place. And so you can't even discuss the concept of them being Western and Christian, because it's that hasn't happened.
Right.
We used to open the gates, close them, and let everyone get on the same page. Open the gates, close them. Great system. Mm-hmm. And then we broke the hinges off the gates. And so now immigration is just, it's fruitless to do analogies anymore, because we see what's happening and it's fuck you.
Right, right.
And that's something we should focus on. Not the Jews. I'm fucking sick of talking about Jews. I remember Cernovich said that once. He goes, I'm happy to talk about the Jews and Israel like once a month. But I need a fucking break. Like hanging out with Jake Shields, I had to lie down after. Because it was this. Mm-hmm. Then we drove to the city. It was all Jews. Then we went to 9/11, the memorial. That was all Jews. Jews did that. And then it was like, I had to go get a beer at that point. I was just fucking, it gets tedious. And I think that's sort of the other thing I was saying too, is this crutch becomes like the left has, I call them Nazi glasses, mm-hmm. where everything is about fucking white supremacy.
Right.
And the right does that with the Jays.
Yeah, I think there's some that do that, but at the same time, they are kind of all over the place. You know, like look at the Trump administration. There's obviously things they're not doing, or they're not like directly involved, let's say, like enforcement of illegal immigration. Stephen Miller's running it, but it's not a Jewish issue. You got the corporate tax cut. You got the
But wouldn't you do, who was the Mayorkas or whatever his name was?
Mayorkas?
Mayorkas. Mm-hmm. So you would blame him for open borders and say he's a Jew, but then you would sort of close your eyes when it comes to Stephen Miller fixing the problem.
Well, my point when I say that is you wouldn't say that that's like having to do with the Jews as an organized force. Like the theme of that is not Jews. But I'm saying that
so it's Jewish when Mayorkas does it, but it's not Jewish when Miller does it.
I'm not talking about Mayorkas. What I'm talking about is which issues have to do with Jews and Israel and which ones don't. Immigration enforcement doesn't really have to do with Jews and Israel. Tariffs doesn't really have to do with Jews and Israel. The corporate tax cut doesn't. What does have to do with Jews and Israel is deporting anti-Semites that we got a list from Canary Mission. We were told who to deport. That happened in the State Department. What does have to do with them is bombing Iran, because they instigated that war. They launched.
Yeah, if we start a full-on war with Iran, I'm on your side. Mm-hmm. I want that. But most Jews don't want that. Like you keep saying, Israel's going to get us into a global war. If that happens, you were right.
I'm saying they're trying to get us into a war with Iran.
What did I say?
A global war.
Well, that is a global war.
Not really.
If China and Russia gets involved?
But Russia won't upset Israel, and China won't get involved directly. They won't intervene to save Iran. And so it would just be a regime change war. I mean, it'd be a tall order, but I don't believe I would necessarily turn into World War III. Realistically, we're already in World War III. That's neither here nor there. But they are the ones egging us on. They want us to pursue regime change in Iran. They sabotage the deal. That has to do with Jews and their interests, Israel and its interests. You also have the education policy, holding the money against the Ivy League universities hostage to put in place these pro-Israel, pro-Jewish policies. Larry Ellison taking over TikTok. He's basically doing that at the behest of Netanyahu. So it's like not everything has to do with them, but there's a lot of things that do have to do with them. And I will talk about those things wherever they are. I'm not going to say, well, I'll only talk about it once a month. It's like if they're flagging people for criticizing Israel and kicking them out of the country, that's kind of a problem.
Yeah, but every sane, rational Jew would agree with you on that.
I don't think they would. I think that people like Shapiro and many conservative Jews, they love to see these pro-Palestine people getting kicked out. They say they're terrorists. The Heritage Foundation came up with that policy.
All right, let's call them then. I'm going to call a Jew.
Which one?
I can't tell you. They want to be anonymous. But so your contention is that a lot of Jews are happy with people being deported for anti-Semitic beliefs. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll ask if we can say who he is. This guy represents all Jews, by the way.
Hello?
Hey, can I say who you are?
Of course.
This is Ron Coleman on the line. Nick is under the impression that most Jews are cool with people being deported for having anti-Semitic beliefs.
That's funny. No, I think the vast majority wait, people being reported or
People
deported,
being-
or people who,
Students
people who
on
are
visas.
here on a visa?
Students on visas, like at
Oh.
Columbia.
I think most Jews are cool with that. Yeah, I'm cool with that.
All right. Thanks for calling. Well, yeah, I think I misunderstood the question. I thought you were saying just general American citizens.
No,
being
the
deported.
policy they're at the State Department they're running.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of okay with that too.
Okay, so
Like you're here on a visa and you hate America. I don't even think Chinese people should go to our schools.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Like they're learning how to attack us. All these sheiks who come here from Muslim countries, they're happy to pay 150 grand a year, the foreign fee. But then Osama bin Laden went to Ivy League schools. I don't like that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay, good. So yeah, that's not really free speech.
Well, here's why it is, though, because it's part of clearly a concerted campaign to suppress that kind of sentiment on campus. If the Department of Education comes in and says, we're going to bankrupt you and we're going to cancel all your visas and we're going to deport students unless you implement anti-protest rules, unless you change your curriculum on Israel, et cetera, this is like a chilling effect on speech.
We're looping around. I mean, you know how I feel about that. It sounds terrible, but under the circumstances, these schools are fucking insane. So it's drastic measures.
Why not just arrest the people that are doing the bad things instead of like destroying free speech?
Because you came here on an invitation. Like you came here, the backstage pass, to meet Motley Crue, and you're wearing a shirt that says Motley Crue suck. You're not. Your backstage pass is revoked.
Yeah, but they're not saying America sucks. They're protesting Israel, and they're getting bounced for that. And you're saying, well, we need to do that because I'm saying, like, if someone beats up a Jewish student, arrest that person. If they're on a visa, deport that person. But to go in and say, we're going to literally just break apart free speech on this issue?
You're right. And this would be, you'd be much more right 20 years ago. But under the circumstances, like it's a fucking... they teach anti-Semitism, and this comes from Marxists hating the success of white people ultimately. Like what? How do you think? Do you blame Jews on Netflix sexualizing children? That's Barack Obama. He's a Marxist.
Obama's doing that?
Yeah, he's in charge of Netflix, curating the talent pickers. What, is that the Jews too?
Wait, is he? I don't know. What is? I know he has a contract with Netflix, but is he running the show
Yeah,
there?
it's the same way Jay-Z runs the Super Bowl. Jay-Z decides who gets to play in the Super Bowl. He doesn't literally run the halftime show, but he chooses. And Barack Obama's people choose that, and he's a Marxist. And when I think of the corruption of education, I mean, it probably is a Jew who's running the unions there, although I think one of the women's, there's two unions, and one of them is black. But that's Marxism. And Marxism is about destroying the West.
Well, and I think that a lot of Jews become communists because they are like subversive. I think they're
This is a fundamental disagreement you and I have. I believe that if you embrace Marxism, you become an atheist, you're no longer a Jew. You believe Jew is an ethnicity that's in your bones and you can never leave it, and they never want to leave it.
Yeah, well, it's an ethnicity, so yeah, it's genetic. It's matrilineal.
So George Soros is a Jew.
Yes, all day, yes.
Okay, that's the fundamental disagreement we have. Because his father was an atheist. He was raised on atheism. He speaks that stupid globalist language that they invented. What the fuck is it called?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Esperanto. Yeah, he's fluent. So I just see him as a Marxist saboteur with tons of money.
But even religious Jews, they will look at secular Jews as like their wayward, prodigal
This is
people.
the core of our disagreement. I totally fundamentally, everything else I'm like, I see what he's saying, maybe I go, but that is like a thump. That's a wall between us. I don't think they think that. I know they don't. Here, I'll call another Jew. Like Jews fucking hate George Soros and feel no kinship with him whatsoever. Can you go tell them to hold on a sec? That's my son. He's very excited to meet you, him and his friends.
Hey, I thought I was watching you live.
No, it's not live. Shalom.
Oh, no way. Hey, shalom.
These are some of the Jews who own me. So I'm here with Fuentes, and we really came down to like you could invite them in, Sean. They just can't be on camera. We came down to our fundamental disagreement, and I've had this fight with him before. He believes that like even rabbis, Republican Jews, Orthodox Jews, they still feel an affiliation and a bond with someone like George Soros because he's an ethnic Jew and they're of the same cloth, in a sense.
He's not 100% wrong about that, but it's.
Okay, I'm not calling you guys anymore. This is not working out for me.
No. But I'm saying he's not 100% wrong, but at the same time, like they'd be happy to see him in jail, or worse. I mean, they're not going to like save him from going to jail. They don't like him. They don't like what he does. They think he's an evil man, and they would want him to be taken down.
So you're saying it more like a rich, educated black guy who's a judge seeing some like black monster kill a baby, and you're like, there's a kinship there, but fuck you.
No, I think that that it's more like a father turning in his son, who he knows committed a crime or something, but not even like that. But I think that would be even closer. I think it's
so Soros is your son in that analogy.
The prodigal son.
Yeah, the prodigal son.
I'm 200 years old, and so.
Yeah, well, if there's one thing I've learned in this debate, it's not to call Jews.
Look, I mean,
I thought you hated George Soros. That's why I called you.
We do not like. No, we hate George Soros. I hate George. I am not one of them who feels any affinity towards him. I think we should write it. I write him out right now. I'm not related to George Soros in any way. Book him or take him away, boys. Whatever needs to be done.
Book him,
I'm against him 1,000%. I mean, I would side with Nick or George Soros. I mean, I am not on George Soros' team, and I think I would speak. I can't speak for everyone. Everybody's an individual, but I think a lot of people would feel the same way as me. But I'm saying those who would say that there is some affinity would say, yes, I'm distantly related to him.
What percentage? Out of all the Jews in America?
Who knows? The percentages. Who's
not with the? I thought you guys love the numbers. Getting down to it. All right. Thanks for calling. I'm going to get back to this.
No problem.
Wow, these Jews are really letting me down. Let's divide this up into two parts.
Okay.
Do you think I want to do a second one without Jews?
Okay, absolutely, yeah.
Which is your favorite type of thing. So let's call it. Do you have anything else you want to add? Or?
No, I think we covered a lot.
Okay, so let's make this part one.
Okay.
The Jewish problem, and then part two will just be more jovial and stuff like that.
Sure.
So if you enjoyed that clip,
then subscribe to Compound Censored using this promo code.